Hello guys, welcome to another video. In this video, we will see how we can connect to the databases using tools in LangGraph. So the idea is for an agent, we ask something which using tools it will connect to the database and it gets that information or updates something in the database and returns the response. So I'm using OpenAI API for LLM. So I've just said that here. That's it. I'm using SQL Alchemy module to connect to the database using pandas. So I'm using SQL Alchemy and it has a create engine method using which we can get the connection of our Postgres database. And before that, let me show you what exactly we have in the Postgres database. So if I come to this table here, when I query, it has the information as a passenger ID, the source, the destination and the flight status. So let's assume it has like information related to the flights. So based on the passenger ID, we try to get the source, destination, where he is traveling to, and the flight status, and we'll try to update the status as well. Very basic stuff we do using this LangGraph tutorial now. So I've just imported the required libraries, that's it. And here these are tools, bunch of tools, and in this tool I am just taking this argument. This is a common argument across all the tools, and what exactly this argument does is it passes the config information at the runtime. See, we have a config information here. This config is passed at the runtime. Inside this config, we have the thread ID and the passenger ID. We try to extract the passenger ID from this config only. And the purpose of thread ID is to track the flow or for memory and other purposes. I've explained this more detail in my previous video. You can watch that. So I'm just querying the table and getting all the information. That's it. In this fetch user flight information. That's it. Just using the connection and reading it as a pandas data frame and creating a dictionary out of this output. That's it. And in the next tool, I'm just trying to get the source information from the table. Where exactly is the source of the flight? Select source from the flight where passenger ID equal to passenger ID is again being extracted from this config only. And similarly, the destination I'm getting. And here I'm just getting the flight status. And here I'm just cancelling the flight. So to cancel the flight, I'm just updating the status to cancelled. And if it is cancelled, I'm returning that your flight has been cancelled. That's it. And here we have three util methods, and the purpose of this first util method is to handle error. For suppose we know that in LangGraph we have variable called state that stores the state information at every point in time of our graph. For suppose if the first thing what happened in the graph is a human message, the human message will be appended to the state, and if AI responded something, the AI message will be appended, and then if AI is trying to call a tool, the tool message will be appended in the state. So this state maintains every of that information in the graph, like every state, literally it maintains the state information of that specific graph. And here inside this method, we're just trying to extract the last message from the state. That's it, very last message using -1. And I'm just extracting the dictionary called tool calls, and we are just appending another information like error while handling, like whatever the error message we got it in this state even holds the errors as well in case if we got any error while calling the tool. So in case if we get any error, we are just appending again another message to our messages variable in the graph. So if you see, while creating a graph, we have two variable messages. So we are just appending another message with whatever the error message we have to it, so that the user, whenever he tries to debug, he will have a clear view that he can directly go and check the last message from our state. So if it has error, we'll just append that error message here. Nothing else is being done, just that appending the error message we got while triggering the tools in case if we get any error. That's it. And this method is being called here. And also what we are doing here is, in LangGraph we have a class called tool node inside which we bind all the tools. And in case if while calling any error is message, this method makes sure that if any error is called while calling the tools, just trigger this method, and this method will just append that specific error message to the messages list in our state or in our graph. That's it, nothing. This is just to print the message everything properly, which I will show you down. So that's it. And if you say in LangGraph, as per my first tutorial, we try to create a class, and inside that we maintain some variables, and those variables will have the information, and that information can be accessed at any point in the time of that graph or in the flowchart. That's it. And for assistant, like for LLM, we have another class here called assistant, and this has two methods. One is the constructor, and the constructor expects the argument called runnable. Runnable is nothing but the LLM here. While calling the assistant, I'll show you. And next is the underscore call method, which is triggered whenever you create an object, and inside which we are calling that or invoking that LLM. That's it. If you see here, see assistant runnable. Assistant runnable is nothing but the chain here, the prompt plus the tools which are binded. That's it. So we call this class like this, and the runnable here is a LLM or nothing but the chain, and we are just invoking it. And if we after invoking, if it doesn't have any response, we are just appending another information to it stating that respond with the real output. That's it. Now this is an LLM, Chat OpenAI I am using here, and I have a prompt here, and that prompt is sent to the LLM. If you see here, see assistant prompt pipe LLM.bind tools of the safe tools and sensitive tools. And the safe tools is nothing but the information where I just query the database, and sensitive tools is we get the information where I want to update the database. So the reason why I have separated those is because I want to interrupt when there is a sensitive tool being triggered. I want to take the confirmation from the user. That's why I have separated into two. I'll show you how we are handling that. So these names of the sensitive tools, I'm just keeping another variable called sensitive tool names. That's it. So this is how we create the graph in LangGraph. We have a class called state graph, and inside which we pass the state information. State is nothing but the class and the variables which we have declared, and this is the state and the variables. That's it. So now we have a very basic graph here. That's it. And now we need to create nodes and edges. Nodes, we can even think of it like some specific method which you want to trigger. That's it. And the edges is nothing but the connection between one node to another node is called edges. I've very clearly explained in my previous video. You can watch that. That's it. So what I'm saying is the first node is the fetch user information. So I'm just calling this tool, and this tool just triggers select star from the table. That's it. Nothing else is being done here. See, it just does the select star from the table based on the passenger ID. That's it. I've just created a node, and I'm creating an edge. Means first when you start, go to this particular node first, and then I'm creating another nodes, and the first node is assistant. By using a class we have triggered, we are calling this, and the next is a safe tools. So while calling the tools, I am using create tool node with fallback method, which is the helper method which we have triggered here. That's it. And next is sensitive tool, and even for this tool also we are wrapping inside that method only. That's it. And now we have to create edges, right? So first we said after start go with this, and after this go with assistant. We are good till here, and then after assistant where should it go? So we have this method to decide that. So once assistant is done, may take care of help of this method and decide whether to go any of these nodes, whether to go to the safe node or the sensitive node or the end node. That's it. So in this method, we are just taking the state of that graph. Using this variable state, we can access the information of the variables which we have declared here. So we have information of messages and user info, right? While creating a class here, this information can be accessed using the state variable at any point in the time of our graph. So I'm just checking if the next node, using this tool condition, we can just check what is the next node after this. If the next node is end, then go with the end. If not, I'm checking take the messages, and if the last message, take it, and if the last message has the tool calls, then, and in those tool calls, if it has a sensitive tools, then return sensitive tools, or else return the safe tools is what I'm saying. So that's what this method does. It is just to navigate whether to go to the safe tools or the sensitive tools at the end. That's it. So I just, if it's a safe tools, after safe tools again go to the assistant, after sensitive tools again go to the assistant. That's what it is. So we have just added a memory here. That's it. And if you print, that's what we thought, right? So start, get this information, then assistant. After assistant, decide whether to go to the safe tool, sensitive tool, or end accordingly as per what is returned by this method. And how is this method checking? Using the state variable, and inside the state we'll have the messages, and that based on that messages we are deciding whether which tool to call. That's it. and this is the config which we are giving. This is for the memory purpose, I have explained in my previous video, and this is the information which we want to pass at the runtime, the user ID or something. If you want to pass it the runtime, you can pass it, and we are reading this inside the tools. That's it. Now if you see, what is the source location the passenger is traveling to is the question I have asked. That's it. I am using this graph.streaming here. Graph is nothing but the agent. See, we have created a graph based on the builder.compile of, we added the memory, and we are saying here interrupt before calling this tool. Sensitive tools alone, please do interrupt is what we are saying. We have another method called interrupt after also. After calling some tool, if you want to interrupt, you can use interrupt after and the tool name. That's it. So the graph.aStream. So the graph.stream, we are just passing this question and we are iterating this event and printing it. So we are just getting the events and we are just printing those events using the method util method we have created. That's it. And here we are just getting the graph snapshot, and if it has next, we are just asking this question, do you want to approve or not? If it is provided yes, then we'll just trigger, else we'll just throw the error saying this has been denied. That's it. So if you see, what is the source location a passenger is traveling to, this is a question which I have asked. So that is went to the AI message, and AI decided to call so and so tool called get source method, and the tool is called, and the response is being written by this tool called Hyderabad, and the source location the passenger is traveling from is Hyderabad is what AI written by taking the input from the tool, and similarly we are getting the destination location of the user. So the same question, get destination tool, it has decided to call, it got the response Tirupati, and the destination location for the user is Tirupati. Can I guess this? Can I know the status of my flight? And again the human message calls the AI decide which tools to call, and this call, and it's booked, so it returned that response. So like this, using LangGraph we can connect to the databases. And here we have seen, like, we have only one single prompt which handles all the different types of scenarios, like if you want to update any method, or if you want to call any database or any tool. For all this we have only single prompt. But in my next video we will try to see and how we can create workflows using LangGraph, and inside those workflows we have the separate prompts for each and every use case. It's a little more in depth. We'll see it in the next tutorial. That's it. Thank you so much for watching.